Nurudeen Abdul-Rahaman is a PhD student at educational program of the Institute of Education, and he is also a graduate of University of Science and Technology of China. He has a vivid professional experience covering the research in the field of educational policy, internationalization in higher education, teacher motivation, educational administration, and also the studies of leadership, among others. So today, Nurudeen is going to talk about his PhD research, which is focusing on the social integration experiences of international doctoral students at Russian universities. So as far as this is the abstract of his research promises, he's going to talk about the study of social integration of doctoral students at Russian universities. And this is very, very interesting. And I think this is a very important subject to research on. And he will show the results of cross-institutional survey of doctoral students that was conducted in 2021. So I'm glad to give a floor to our speaker.
I'm affiliated to Institute of Education, National Research University, High School of Economics, and I'm from Ghana. This evening, I'll be sharing with you the findings of a research article that we published recently. Okay, as my colleague earlier on mentioned, the title of this article is The Social Integration Experience of International Doctoral Students at Russian Universities. Before I present the findings, I would like to give you the reason why this study was conducted. Scholars have said that international students' persistence in doctoral studies is greatly increased when they are fully incorporated into the social structures of their institutions and programs. Other scholars also acknowledge that the compatibility between these doctoral students and their various departments is critical in helping them socially integrate into their institutions, which further boosts their perseverance and success in their individual programs. However, doctoral students' social integration experiences are viewed generally rather than regarding various departments of these students. And despite the importance of university department in ensuring that doctoral students are socially integrated, furthermore, most of this research on social integration of in doctoral education focuses on students in higher education without distinguishing between international and domestic students, as evidenced in the following studies. And lastly, no such study has been found in the Russian context that investigates the social integration experience between international and domestic students. And even though Russia has a large doctoral education system and a significant share of international doctoral students, making our study interesting and important. So therefore, the main purpose of our study is to explore the social integration experience of doctoral students by looking at it in a comparative lens. Now, the theoretical framework, the study was conceptualized based on the Tinto's model of doctoral student departure of 1993. This model was guided by Durkheim's theory of suicide of 1961. And according to Durkheim's suicide theory, suicide is likely to occur when individuals are insufficiently integrated into the fabric of the society. And within our study context, the society is the university department. This Tinto's theory was used to understand how various parts of interactive experiences within the university department vary between domestic and international students in various years of study, as well as different fields of study. In this study, the nationality of students, that is domestic or international, their field of study, as well as their year of study is considered as the individual attributes of these doctoral students, whilst the departmental environment, which consists of students, staff, are the institutional attributes of the students. The theory is used to analyze the effect of the play of these institutional and individual attributes on students' social well-being and success. We used cross-institutional online survey, and the survey was conducted between May and June 2021 on behalf of the Russian Ministry of Science and Higher Education under the project Scientific and Methodological Support for the Development of Quality Management System of Higher Education in the condition of coronavirus disease. The survey main goal was to analyze the challenges and opportunities for developing doctoral education quality at Russian University during the pandemic. We used a questionnaire, and the questionnaire covered topics which includes satisfaction with the university learning condition and service, support, main obstacles during the doctoral study, and professional goals and plans. Questions about social integration and its different dimensions were at the core of the second series of questions. And the study sample includes all doctoral students at Russian universities. And after administering the questionnaire, we collected views of about 4,454 doctoral students from 249 universities. And these 4,454 doctoral students equates to about 9% of the whole doctoral student population in Russia. And out of this 4,454, 394 were international doctoral students. These were the statements that we used to measure social integration within the university departments. The first one was, I have friends in my department, followed by, I feel like I belong to the department. I am proud to be a doctoral student of my department. My department creates a welcoming and supportive environment. I can always talk in person or remotely with my department, and my department treats me fairly. So these were the statements that we used to measure social integration within the department. All questions were measured on 5-point Likert scale, ranging from 1, strongly disagree, to 5, strongly agree. We also used statements like, my chances are high, my chances are low, my chances are average. I don't think I'll be able to defend my dissertation in 5 years from the date of admission, to measure students' expectation about their chances of defending their thesis within the normative period of 5 years of their PhD studies. We use a 4-point Likert scale ranging from 1, my chances are high, to 4, I don't think I will be able to defend my dissertation in 5 years, to evaluate international students' expectation about the defense period. Lastly, we measured international students' satisfaction with the quality of their program using the 4-point Likert scale ranging from 1, satisfied, to 4, dissatisfied. So after our chi-square analysis, these were the findings of our analysis. 1, the survey results show a general high subjective evaluation of doctoral students' social integration at Russian universities. More than 75% of doctoral students who participated in the survey somewhat or strongly agreed with all the statements. 2, bigger shares of those who responded with options somewhat disagree and disagree were observed for the statements about having friends and a sense of belonging to the department. That is 19% and 18% respectively. 3, almost all participants agreed that their department treated them fairly. That is about 91%, and that they could always talk with the faculty or department of their schools, which is 89%. 4, the results showed that 45% and 41% of the domestic and international students strongly agreed that they have friends in their department. And there was a significant difference, which was 0.022. In comparison, similar proportion of 40% and 45% domestic and international students respectively felt like they belonged to their department, which wasn't significant. As you can see, the p-value is 0.192. At least half of the respondents, irrespective of their nationality, that is either domestic or international, strongly agreed with the other 4 questions on social integration. Last but not least, we looked at the domestic students. We tried to compare social integration between domestic and international by using the mean score. And the score for international students were about 25.4, whilst that of the domestic was 25.2. So we try to compute to see whether there is a significant difference between international and domestic students. And as you can see, the p-value was 0.549, which wasn't significant at all. So when you look at the table here, it consists of the various statements that we use to measure social integration within the department. The first one is, I have friends in my department. The second one is, I feel like I belong to my department. And the third one, I'm proud to be a doctoral student in my department. The fourth one, my department creates a welcoming and supportive environment. And the fifth one, I can always talk in person or remotely with my department. And then the last one is, my department treats me fairly. So you can see the computation for domestic and international. With this one, there is a significant difference. The second one, there's no significant difference between domestic and then international students. The third one, I'm proud to be a doctoral student in my department. There is a significant difference of 0.001 between international and domestic students. Then the next one is, my department creates a welcoming and supportive environment. There was a significant difference. And the next one is, I can always talk in person with my department. There was another significant difference. And the last one, there wasn't any significant difference. So this is the computation of the mean score for domestic and international students. That is the comparison. You can see it here. 2.5.2 for domestic and 2.5.3 for international. And the difference is not significant. As you can see, the p-value, which is 0.549. Having done that, we did a further analysis, and we divided international students into 2 groups. One group with high social integration score, and the second group with low social integration score, and the cutoff point was 25 points. So 25 points and above is the high social integration score group, and 23 and below is the lower social integration score group. So we decided to see whether students with lower social integration relates with general satisfaction of high general satisfaction of doctoral programs or low general satisfaction with doctoral programs. And we also decided to see whether students with high social integration scores relate with high expectation to defending their program within the normative period, or whether low social integration score relates with lower chances of defending their programs within the normative period of 5 years. And this was the results. The results showed significant difference between international doctoral students with different level of social integration for both variables. International doctoral students with lower social integration score significantly rarely responded about high chances for their defense in 5 years, which was 49%, compared with 65% for the group of international doctoral students with higher social integration score. And the p-value was 0.010, which was very significant. So therefore, we also checked to see whether like higher social integration score relates with general satisfaction with the program, and whether lower social integration score relates with lower satisfaction of the general PhD program. And the score was that among international students with lower social integration score, almost 30% reported that they are dissatisfied with the doctoral program, compared with only 6% of the international doctoral students with higher social integration score. And the p-value is 0.001, which was really very significant for both cases. So you can see the figures here. The first one is for the general satisfaction with university program, which you can see here. About 6% for students with higher social integration score and almost 30% for students with lower social integration score. And this is the figure showing students' expectation of their chances of defending their program within the normative period of 5 years. And you can see here too, over close to 65% of them with higher social integration score were very optimistic that they will complete or defend their programs within the normative period, as compared to close to 49% of students with lower social integration score, which is here. So therefore, we concluded that the study, no significant difference was observed between the two groups of students, that is domestic and international students. And international students who were insufficiently integrated socially into their department reported less satisfaction with their programs, and therefore had fewer chances of graduating within the required time frame of 5 years. The study therefore suggested that departments should foster informal communications within the various departments, and they should implement standardized programs for all the departments within the at Russian universities to properly observe all doctoral students into the social and academic cultures of the university. And these were some of the activities that we recommended. We recommended clubs, extracurricular events, cultural festivals, and in addition of extra group events to doctoral program, which increases the chances that international doctoral students will make friends in their department and makes them more involved and less lonely. So that is all my presentation. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Nurudeen. Thank you so much. This is just a perfect timing. You're doing it exactly in 15 minutes, so thanks a lot. Guys, if you have any questions, you can put them down in the chat. And I already have two of my own, if I may. Since I'm moderating today, may be the first one. So Nurudeen, could you please specify two things for me? First of all, what about your research is focused on this TINTO framework? Someone might be not familiar with it. TINTO is saying that both social and academic integration matters. So what do you solve this dilemma with this research for yourself? Do you still think that social or academic integration is of more importance, or probably not, or we should not pose the question like that? So I'm really curious about what you think. And I have a second question. Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, it's like this social integration and academic integration are interrelated. Okay, so once one is fixed, like with the social integration, it automatically fixes the other one, the academic integration, because if students can really interact among themselves, they can easily share knowledge with each other. If they can interact with departmental aspects like staff and supervisors without any problems, they can easily share information which will enhance knowledge transfer among these students and which will eventually lead to their success in the program. So when you look at the two terms, they are two sides of the same coin. They are interrelated. Okay. So yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, so my second question is about the Russian context. Since you are doing a research specifically in the field of Russian doctoral students, what did you found is that about specifically Russian context? Because in your last slide, you are showing us that you suggest some activities to foster informal communication, and you propose some measures that might be taken, but you never talk about what is so specific about Russia. in terms of social integration? What do you think?
I think I'll not be able to give this to the better judgment of the Russian context, looking at the COVID pandemic, because it's like this study was conducted during the COVID-19 pandemic. So some of these informal activities that we are recommending, it could be that some of them are already in place, but because of this pandemic, they were not in play to be able to fully integrate these international students. So I think, like I said, even though the COVID has come and I couldn't see some of those things, but I think if universities can enhance these informal activities within the universities as well as the department, it will further integrate these students and then make them feel comfortable, which will further enhance their persistence and then success in their programs.
Okay, thank you. So do we have any more questions? You can raise your hand or you can put them down in the chat. Oh, we have a question in the chat. I will read it out loud. So Anna Korchak is asking, Nurudeen, in general terms, how does your experience related to social integration of international students in China compare to the findings of your research in Russia?
Okay, I will kind of compare my experience in China and that of the findings in Russia. Like in China, some of these informal interactions that we are recommending for students, informal activities, were really enhanced in my former university in China. We're having cultural festivals and then extracurricular activities like soccer competitions among the various departments within the university. And international students were highly encouraged to participate in some of these activities. Like I mentioned, the cultural competitions that we used to have students from Pakistan, Bangladesh, Ghana, Nigeria, from different countries coming together, cooking foods, presenting their costumes, their country's costume, their culture, their way of life. It was like a showcase of different cultures within the university, so that it can enhance understanding between these students, which will bring them together so that they can work together and which will lead to their success in their program. So it's like when I came here, I haven't seen that much. And I think that is the difference between the Chinese environment and that of the Russian context. I don't know of other schools in Russia, but it's like when I came here, I didn't see that. And I can still say that maybe perhaps it's because of the COVID pandemic. That is why some of these things were not visible. So in essence, that is what I have observed between China and that of Russia.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, this is very interesting. This is a nice framework to compare. So do we have any more questions, colleagues? Since this is a short track seminar, we have limited time. So this is your last chance. If you have any questions, you should ask them now. Anyone? Okay. Okay. Since no one, as I can see so far, has any questions, so we can just thank our speaker for today. Thank you, Nurudeen. That was so interesting, and I think this has a lot of perspectives to investigate further on. So thank you so much for your time, and thank you everyone for joining us today. And have a great Christmas time and happy holidays. And we wish you all the best, and we wish Nurudeen good luck with his research and his thesis defense. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.